Greetings from Microlab Northwest. We just looked at how we take a Tapelift sample. In the laboratory, the process is fairly simple also. We have our sample in the lab now. We're going to mount that sample on a clean microscope slide. Now, most of these slides come pre-cleaned. When a slide producer puts these out as clean slides, what they really mean is that the only contaminant on the slide is cleaning residue. And there can quite often be a lot of cleaning residue. So we need to remove that because we don't want to be confused by all the residue that they have left on their clean slide with the sample that we've actually mounted. So simply take the slide. We can use DI water on a chem wipe. And wipe that down. Make sure it's nice and dry. Now our clean slide is ready to take the Tapelift sample. So we simply apply the tape, leaving room for the label, onto the slide. Any residual tape we can put back into the sample bag. We may want to look at that in the future. May want to do something else with that piece of tape. For instance, we can run an elemental analysis of individual particles that are on the tape. So it's always a good idea to preserve, retain part of the tape. So now our slide contains the sample. We need to document the sample, and so the bag carries a lot of information, but what we need to do is to make sure that the lot number, when a sample comes into the laboratory, it's assigned a lot number, and the number of the sample in that lot. So typically, we'll scribe onto the glass the lot number and the number of the sample in that lot. And that's just scribed on there with a diamond scribe. The reason we do that is we're going to put this into acetone, and most inks, or a number of inks, are soluble in acetone. So we mark the slide itself with the scribe, and that preserves the marking. We're then going to put that into a little tray. This is just a standard staining, what they're called staining dishes. This little rack holds the slides. We'll mount our samples in that rack, and then we have acetone, and this is just technical grade acetone. It doesn't have to be, a high purity acetone. What we're doing is we're simply dissolving away the plastic, so we don't want to waste a high quality acetone in order to do that. So that goes into the container, then our slide goes into the acetone there in the container, and it can sit in there for a couple hours. If it sits overnight, that's not a problem, but you want it to be there for at least an hour in order to dissolve all of the plastic backing. At that point, after a couple hours, we can pull the sample, and this set has a number of samples in it. We can extract the sample, let the acetone evaporate completely, and that takes about 15-20 minutes. And then we can make our mount. So once we have our sample out, the acetone has evaporated. We have a nice dry sample at this point. Then we use our mounting media. And we apply a small amount of mounting media to the sample. We take our cover slip then, and again, huff on it. The moisture in your breath condenses on all the cleaning solvent or cleaning debris that's left there, so that you can clean the cover slip. Then, in order to get a good coverage on the tape, at this point, of course, it's just a mounting media, but we spread the mounting media over the surface of the adhesive that contains the particles. And the reason we do that is we want to make sure that all of the sample area is wetted by the mounting media. And the best way to do that is to make sure that it is all exposed to the mounting media. Then we simply drop the cover slip onto the sample. We'll let that spread over the entire sample, and we'll give it an hour or two to cure before we attach a label, a paper label, and then our sample's ready to analyze. So that's all there is to it. Pretty simple process. If you have a large volume of samples, as we do sometimes, we might have a few hundred slides in process. Typically, we'll leave those overnight, come back in the morning, pull them out, spread them out, let the acetone evaporate for 15-20 minutes, and then begin mounting the samples and labeling them for analysis. Pretty simple process. That's all for now. Next time we'll take a look at some of these samples.